celebrated by Father Bernard over here. They were family. But the beautiful thing was his voice. Boy, can he sing. Do you know any Irish songs, Father? Yeah. Okay. We'll get you up. We'll get you up in a couple of minutes. Would you stand up so the congregation can see you? And would you kindly give a little blessing before we say this, because I'm going to get out of control if we don't do something.
God our Father, we thank you for the gift of life. We thank you for the gift of love, the family, friends, and well wishers who have come here to celebrate him. As we celebrate his 90th birthday, may our lives also be enriched by the power of your blessings through Christ our Lord.
Amen.
Now I'll hand the mic back to Danny. Okay, where do we go with this? With the Mass, in addition to the great homily that Father gave, there was a choir performed. Joanne and the St. John Fisher Choir performed beautifully, and they had two guest soloists that sang with the choir, not the soloists. And they're right here, Michael and Katie. You'll forgive me if I look at some notes here. You have no choice. First of all, I want to thank Mary, and Eileen, and Dan, and Timothy Matthew. In case you weren't sure which name was his, they're both his. We know him by Matt, everybody else knows him by Timothy. Both good names. Anyway, they had a family gathering last night that was just outstanding. And shared a lot of memories, met a lot of cousins, re-met a lot of cousins, and then met some new cousins. So it turned out to be a really nice time. Thank you guys for doing that. I want to make a couple of remarks in honoring my brother. But you have sent the honor by being here. You came from near and far to honor him. And at 90 years old, this is the best tribute to him as he could have. Because to have a friend is the most important thing in life. And you've been wonderful friends to him. Most of you, anyway. You told me all okay. Who was the one you were talking about this morning? Needless to say, I'm John. Needless to say, I'm John Finnegan, and I'm the youngest. At 82, I'm the youngest of the four Finnegan siblings. My two sisters were unable to come tonight, but I talked to them both yesterday and asked for, things to say about Dan. They were very quiet. They didn't want to say anything. But they send their love and their thoughts, and they wish they were here.
Well, I do wish they were too.
One of the things we talked about yesterday, we reminisced about Newfound Lake in New Hampshire. And as little kids, my mother and father would take us on vacations to Newfound Lake. And that's where kind of the tradition started within the family of having family vacations. It raised to another level, though, when this guy became involved. There are three things I just want to talk about that demonstrate what kind of a person Dan Finnegan is. Dan Finnegan 1, not Dan Finnegan 2. Dan Finnegan 3 is my son. So if you want anything, just say, hey, Dan, something like that.
Number 2 tries harder.
Anyway, first, there are three things, characteristics. Dedication is one, inspiration is another, and organization is the third. And just to display a little thing about each one of those, when it comes to dedication, his highest priority in life is his family. And to show the sacrifice, one sacrifice he made a number of times, the family vacation idea came to him and said, let's do it. The trouble was, he was living in California, the rest of us were on the East Coast, in different spots, but one sister, Mary, was a very prolific sister. She had 10 children. So we knew she wouldn't get a train or a bus or anything big enough to bring the whole family somewhere to meet us. So they had a camp on a lake in Maine, Wilson Lake. And the tradition started there, that we all get together every summer. All the kids were small. This guy said, how the hell am I gonna get east for more than one family vacation? Well, he figured it out. He rented a motorhome, a big one, by the way, because it included in-laws as well.
Yeah.
And they would drive cross-country a number of times to get to Maine so we'd all be together. Now in Maine, Ellen, Mary's kids, and my children were there at one time. For most of the time, we had 22 children under 12 years of age. All first cousins. And not one of them was adopted. Because you see them, you wouldn't adopt them then, but now you're right. Some of them done pretty well, so if you want to put the adoption papers in, let me know. But he did that. He also took a summer job with TWA, so he was able to fly them on occasion. So we had just terrific times at the lake. Kids water skiing, all the usual things they do at the lake. And the adults tended to get gin and lobster. That was the menu. The lobster was for the adults. The kids had to go make up a play while we're up having gin and lobster. And then put on a play. And this was just beautiful plays. We loved it. Do you remember any of them?
You don't either after this.
Okay, so that's his dedication and sacrifice for family. The next was a little different. This is inspiration. And this one, you don't even know this one yet. And this was my sister Ellen. She was a teenager at the time. And this is about, what, 46 or a long time ago. And she was in love with our role model brother. We liked our father too, but he didn't fit the story. Anyway, Ellen used to write poems for the family. Everybody have a birthday or any occasion. And she was really good at it. Well, she told me, and this is the first time I heard it, was on the phone I talked to her yesterday. She wrote a poem, and it was about her brother. He was handsome, he was her older brother, and the poem was entitled, My Ideal Man. It started off with 6'2", eyes of blue, and that went on and on and on. I won't bore you with all the great details because I don't have them. Otherwise I would. But the key to it was the last line of the poem. It came to, he is a man like no other. But a girl can't marry her brother. Okay, the last characteristic is organization. And you all know him because you know him from his adult life here in California through schools and CATA. Are there any CATA people here? All right. And he loved doing it. He was good at it. So after the kids kind of grew up and the nest got a little empty, we said, we got to continue the family vacations. But these kids are all over the country now, and we can't have them in. So what's the next best thing? Marie and Dan formed a company called Club Finnegan. And they would organize a trip every year or so for all the siblings and spouses. We would go up and down the East Coast, West Coast. Sometimes we rented a van. Oh, by the way, we never stayed in a motorhome, even though we used one for transportation occasionally.
We had van of life.
But the van was a white van, and I bet you can guess what we called it. Van of white. We had really spectacular senses of humor.
They all supported me while I was driving, so if somebody cut me off, I didn't have to yell at them, they did.
Now, he had a favorite expression when someone cut him off. But I won't repeat it. Only something about that. Anyway, so we had some great times in, going around the country. Went to Mary's graduation in Denver. I went everywhere, but one of the best trips we had was a trip back to Ireland. And we didn't take the van on that one. He made us swim.
Was that the one where you forgot your passport?
Pardon?
Was that the one where you forgot your passport?
Oh, good, yeah. Why don't you remind me of that? Oh, that one. All set to go, we're leaving out of Boston. I get down to the airport. These guys are, because I was right on time, about 15 minutes late. And these guys had already gone through the boarding gate to get on the plane. And I go up the counter and hand my passport, and my wife's passport. Well, it turned out they were both my wife's passports. One of them expired, one of them would work. Now, we were how far away, Karen? About a half hour away from your house?
38 miles.
38 miles. We had to miss the flight. We drove back to Newburyport. We contacted Kathy back in Rochester. And this is now into the evening, she went to 2 or 3 FedEx, or places where she found my passport.
Oh.
And she went to these places. Finally, at 8:30 at night, she banged on the door, and the guy was closing. And she said, "You got to get this to Boston right away." So he shipped it. We got to the airport directly. We got there the next day, got on the plane, everything was fine. So, but we just a little late.
And in every pub, he was known as the late John Finnegan.
Oh yeah, the troubadour we traveled with had a great sense of humor, and he was great. And every time I come into the room, he says, "I want to introduce the late John Finnegan." He did that back in Rochester when he performed there too. So anyway, that's his organization ability, and we had just wonderful times. Sharing adult stories now. So that was it. So dedication, inspiration, and organization. Without Dan's leadership, we never would have had these kind of vacations.
Okay. John, 1 second. There's a lot of excitement back here. Apparently, LeBron is going to join the Lakers.
Oh. LeBron is going to join the Lakers. LeBron who?
Go ahead, continue.
Is
That was just a news flash.
Is that a soccer team? Anyway, it's time for us to toast my brother. Because there is no weather like that. And I got a glass here somewhere.
Yeah, it's right here. You left it over here.
Oh, Michael, your glass, Michael. You're wonderful. If you raise your glasses. To Danny, on behalf of your family and many friends, we thank you for being such an important and guiding part of our lives. Your accomplishments are too many to recount here. Each of us have personal reasons for loving you. May God bless you, grant you peace and comfort, and always the joy of a happy family and a loving family. God bless you. Slanta.
Slanta.
I promise we're going to speed this up. Don't move. Right. You're on.
I didn't know I was on.
Where's your special gift?
I don't know.
So this is one of our best pals, and Don currently, after being the deputy mayor for both Han and Garcetti, is now running the convention center and all tourism for Los Angeles, and he has a special gift for my dad.
Okay, well, as a staffer to many elected officials, I've learned how to stretch 2 minutes of comments into 30 minutes of boring time. But actually, I'm too cheap to buy a card, so I was able to ask the mayor of Los Angeles to look into his stack, and he had one that said, "Happy birthday, 90th birthday for Daniel J. Finnegan." So, and one last thing, is Shirley Godfrey here? Well, we brought a stack of cookies with a painting that Shirley Godfrey once did for the DJ. They hung it up inexplicably in the restroom, the guest bathroom on the first floor. And so, growing up, we all called going to the bathroom visiting Shirley. And then after that, we stole Shirley from the bathroom, and we took her on many of our trips. She's been to Paris, she's been to Asia, she's been to Notre Dame, quite on. And anyway, Shirley is making an appearance on all of the cookies that people can take home. So anyway, on behalf of the city of Los Angeles and Eric Garcetti, happy 90th birthday.